Well, hello everybody and welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some sausage rolls as one of my Christmas recipes. Now I do already have sausage rolls on my YouTube channel and on my blog, but these are going to be slightly different in that I'm going to be using caramelised red onion instead of just normal chopped onion. So that's going to give a little bit of sweetness to the sausage rolls as well. They're quite simple to make, don't take very long, so I'll go straight on to the ingredients. And for the filling I have 450 grams, which is about 1 pound, just under 1 pound of sausage meat, and I like to use sausage meat which is at least 80% pork. I have 4 tablespoons of caramelised red onion. I have 4 teaspoons of dried sage. You could use fresh sage, but then you need to use about 4 tablespoons probably. And then I have salt and pepper to add to taste basically. So that's the ingredients for the filling. I have 1 egg which I've lightly beaten. That's going to be an egg wash that goes over the top. And then for the pastry I have 220 grams, which is 1 cup plus about 6 tablespoons of plain flour, all-purpose flour. I have 150 grams of unsalted butter, which I've put in 2 little blocks, and I've chilled those in the freezer for about 45 minutes so that I can shred them. I have a pinch of salt, and I have 4 tablespoons of cold water. So we'll do the pastry first. We'll put the flour into a larger bowl and just add the salt and just give it a little mix round. And then what we want to do is to grate the butter into the bowl. Well, I'm actually going to grate it into this little shredder here and then tip it into the bowl. Hopefully that's going to be a little bit easier to work with. And I'm going to hold the butter with the plastic wrap just so that it doesn't melt so quickly. And then once it's all grated, tip it into the flour if you're doing it like me, or you would just grate it straight on top of the flour. And then you're going to use a knife to just work it into the flour. So that it all gets coated with flour. And once it's all coated with flour like that, add the water. I'm going to add probably about 3 tablespoons to start with. And with your knife, just stir it around until it begins to clump together. This is going to make a flaky type of pastry. That's beginning to clump, so I'll add remaining water. And then I'm going to get my hand in and pull it together into a dough just by squeezing it. And if I need to add more water just to make it all come together, I'll do that as well. And that's just about come together, and I haven't added any more water, just the 4 tablespoons. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give that a little bit more kneading by hand, and then I'm going to form it into a disc, and I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap. Like that, and I'm going to chill it for 30 minutes, and then we'll roll it out and it'll be ready to use. So I'll just clean up, and then we'll go on to make the sausage filling as well. So we'll go on and we'll make our sausage meat filling. And I've put the sausage meat into a larger bowl, and I've just pressed it down with a fork basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle my sage over it, and then I'm going to fold that over like that, and I'm going to sprinkle the remainder on as well. And fold that over. This is just to get it mixed in a little bit. And then I'm going to put the caramelised onion in as well. And I'm going to mash that in so that it gets fairly evenly mixed throughout. Now, if you think your caramelised onion is too chunky, you can always chop it up before you add it in. I don't mind having little chunks in. That one's a bit big, so I'll just break that up a little bit. And that's all there is to the mixing. So I'm going to roughly chop that into 4 pieces. Divide it, shall I say, rather than chop. Like that. And then I'm going to take some plastic wrap and I'm going to put 1/4 of it onto the plastic wrap, and I want to shape this into a little sausage log about 12 inches in length. And you can do it any way you want, but I like to do it with plastic wrap. It tends to make it a little bit easier. So I'm just going to squeeze it out. And then I'm going to measure until I've got it 30 centimetres in length, 12 inches. Try to keep it as even thickness as possible. And that's almost right. Yep, that's okay. So then I'm simply going to give that a twist, give that a twist as well, like that. And that's ready to go onto our pastry. So I'm going to do the same with the remainder. I'm actually going to then put them in the fridge just to keep them chilled until our pastry has chilled and we're ready to roll it out. Then I'll be back, and at that time I will preheat my oven to 220 Celsius. That's 200 Celsius with a fan, 430 Fahrenheit. And I'll have some baking trays lined with parchment paper or silicone mats ready to put the sausage rolls on. So the pastry has chilled and I have my oven preheating at 220 Celsius, 200 Celsius with a fan, 430 Fahrenheit. And I've already rolled some of the sausage rolls out, but I have half the pastry here. I divided it into two, and this second half will make 12 sausage rolls, and the first half made 12. So I'm going to roll this out until it's a rectangle of 12 inches by 8 inches, or 30 centimetres by 20 centimetres. And as you can see, I floured the work surface so that it doesn't stick. So that's good enough, I think. I'm actually just going to clip the end off that and of that, just to straighten up a little bit. That's good. And then I'm going to cut that in half. So I just need it to go a little bit more. That's good enough. Yeah. So I'm going to cut it in half lengthways, which will give me two 4-inch strips 12 inches long, like that. And then what I'm going to do is take one piece of sausage meat, as soon as I can unwrap it, and I'm going to put it on one edge of the pastry, like that. And I'm just going to wipe my hands, and I'm going to put a little bit of salt, not much, and a little bit of pepper on the sausage meat, and I'm going to brush the top edge of the pastry with some egg wash. That's to seal this pastry in. And I'm going to roll the other edge up onto the sausage meat and over to form the roll. Just like that. And there's our sausage roll formed. So then what I want to do is to cut that into 6 pieces, which are about 2 inches in length, Some will be bigger than others, that's fine. And I'm going to put those onto the baking tray. And repeat the process with the second piece of. And so with the sausage rolls on the baking tray, I'm going to brush them with some beaten egg. Like that. And I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to put 3 snips into each one. Just like this. And then I'm going to put them into the oven and I'm going to bake them for between 20 and 25 minutes until they're a nice golden brown colour and the sausage meat is cooked inside. And I'll take them out and let them cool down before I come back and show you the results. Some of the pastry may split. That happens with this flaky type of pastry, but that's fine. Once it's cooled down, it will all hold together quite nicely. So I'll be back when everything's cooled down and we're ready to have a taste. Our caramelised red onion sausage rolls have now baked, and this is what they look like. I baked them for 25 minutes, and I tested the meat for temperature and it was cooked through, and the pastry is nicely cooked. So I'll have a taste of one. Tastes very, very good. I get the sage and just a slight sweetness from the caramelised red onion. It's not overpowering. You could add more if you wanted to, but I personally don't want it to overpower the sausage meat and the sage, so that's for me just about perfect. The pastry is nice and buttery and very, very tender, so these would be ideal for Christmas. I'll actually vacuum pack and freeze some of these ready to use at Christmas. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link to it below the video as well. I'll also put a link below the video to my playlist of Christmas recipes if you're interested in that as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.